Hello everybody, welcome to this next section in our series on Jewish parenting. We turn now to Jewish power. We've already learned about God's care and trust for us and how we can replicate this care and trust in parenting our children. We've also learned about the gift of forgiveness. Now we turn to God's greatest gift to us, which is His power. One of the Hebrew words for the temple is heichal, which is based on the Hebrew word yachol, which means to be able. One of the gifts of Judaism is that it enables us. It helps us to release our potential and with God's help and guidance to become as great as we can possibly be. How do we do this? The Shema, which men are supposed to say twice daily and which is written in our mezuzot and tefillin, says, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might." How do we do this? The passage continues, "Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Speak about them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up." The Torah is the most amazing gift that we have, and it is our guide to spiritual growth and strength. It defines us as a nation and makes our lives meaningful. It gives us a life that is above the laws of nature, that is strong enough to resist temptation, strong enough to disregard the need to conform. It is a source of power and the most precious inheritance that we can pass on to our children. It helps us to serve as a light to the nations, showing what a human can become. When we engage in Torah-based living, we access a mode of behavior that is unimaginably greater than the ones that come through on our social media. We do not bow to the self-indulgence of the age. We do not surrender to the weakness that permeates the personal lives of so many famous people. We understand that our actions can be supernatural and that we are guided by something higher than fashion or material gain. We make the world into a place where God Himself joins us through our study and observance of Torah. It is small wonder then that the Shema tells us that Torah should be our chief preoccupation. So what happens when a child learns Torah and does mitzvot? Through mitzvot, through the commands of the Torah, a child learns self-control, self-respect, and respect for others. They also learn that they can bring holiness into every action and every situation. We should be proud to share this idea with them and have them become used to the idea of how special they can be and how they can be part of that amazing mission to welcome God into our lives. As a child grows, this idea can be developed in their mind. They can understand, as we've already found, that any mitzvah puts them in God's tzava, the host of stars which the Jews are compared to. The child can learn that they don't need to be like James Bond or Lara Croft, but rather that they are strongest when they do what is right and resist the temptation to do wrong. They can be taught that like a shining star sheds light, so their ability to bring God into the most ordinary activity brings light into the world, helping people to see life in a better way. And of course, we can learn Torah with our children. We can talk about Torah at our meals, and we can ask our children to prepare a Torah thought for a meal. The most effective and eloquent Torah teaching for our children is our personal example. It's no accident that the first 1.5 books of the Torah are stories about what our ancestors did, because we can learn from their actions before we learn the mitzvot that we should do. Likewise, our children watch and listen to us as people in a story, and we write that story for them by how we behave. If we show that Torah and mitzvot are real things that are wise and empowering in our own lives, that are not a burden but a privilege, then our children will understand that Torah and mitzvot are things that they can and should do. But to serve as personal examples to our children, we need to care for ourselves. We need to eat and drink and sleep properly as best we can and have time for our own rest and fun. If there is somebody to share our burden, a spouse or a parent or a friend, we should have them lend a hand. Allies in parenting are gifts from God that should be appreciated and used. There is a yetzer hara, a spiritual temptation to take on too much and then regard it as unsustainable and give up altogether. It's a shame if we do that, and we mustn't. By being in good shape physically and mentally, we will be ready to model the Torah life to our children. They will see it as something beautiful and powerful, and they will win that beauty and power for themselves by following our example. Thanks for listening.